So, July 31st episode of Smackdown was one of the best Smackdowns in a really, really long time. I enjoyed everything, but we're going to focus this specific video on the Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, Braun Strowman, Fiend angle. So, to set this up, obviously, we go back to Extreme Rules where the Fiend defeated Braun Strowman and drowned him in the swamp where he was summarily, I guess, eaten by alligators or licked to death by frogs or stuck in some really, really deep mud because he hasn't been back since. And the to open SmackDown, Bray Wyatt says that, the Braun Strowman has something that the Fiend wants. And that, until he gets it, nobody is safe. So at the end of the show, Nikki Cross is frustrated. She just lost to Bayley. She doesn't win the SmackDown Women's Championship. She pushes down Alexa Bliss. She's angry. It seems like Nikki Cross might actually turn. So Alexa Bliss is left in the ring, dejected, having been pushed down by Nikki Cross, and then the Fiend appears. And he haunts and hangs over Alexa Bliss for a little while, and then he very gently, very very gently gave her the mandible claws, because you can't have violence against women. You can't do that. But you can very, very lovingly slide your fingers into their mouths. And that's what he did. And that's the scene as we go off the air. Hell of a scene. Powerful scene. Especially knowing, if we go back to Extreme Rules, Alexa Bliss was in the Braun Strowman sort of illusion. And as a temptress, to get Braun to come home. Come with me, Braun, blah, 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 blah. So knowing that, we know that Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman have this connection, and we know that the Fiend knows that this connection exists, and that's why he's targeting Alexa Bliss, right? So now, where do we go from here? Like, what's the projection into the future? Obviously, something has to happen, and where does Nikki Cross fit in here? Well, Nikki Cross fits in here as, of course, Alexa Bliss's friend, who is frustrated that she lost her title match. But Nikki Cross also left Alexa Bliss alone in the ring when the Fiend attacked her. So what do? Maybe we have a short scene where Nikki Cross kind of blames herself for what happened to Alexa, and not being there for her, feeling guilty for pushing her down. Braun Strowman obviously has to return with maybe the next week, which would be August the 7th. And he has to come back breathing fire, obviously, right? He has to come back angry. And the Fiend, of course, is successful in collecting Alexa Bliss's soul or whatever the hell. So from the next step is we now have to deal with what this means. Does this mean that Alexa Bliss is going to join the Wyatt family, as some people have suggested? Or do we have Nikki Cross join the Wyatt family? Now, it would make more sense for it to be Nikki Cross. Why would it make more sense for it to be Nikki Cross? Because Nikki Cross has already, if the Fiend is changing people, which is something that is sort of part of the Fiend's gimmick, is that he is able to affect the world around him. And so much as when the Fiend feuds with somebody, usually they turn heel. He feuded with Finn Balor. Then when Finn Balor disappeared for a long time, when he came back, he was the Prince, and he turned heel. The Fiend feuded with Seth Rollins. After their feud, Seth Rollins began to turn heel because the fans already hated him after Hell in a Cell. So they just kind of just went with it, right? So, and the Fiend, of course, the unstoppable monster Goldberg, he didn't turn Goldberg heel because he didn't beat Goldberg, he lost. So but he made Goldberg sort of whole again. As far as last time Goldberg had really wrestled, he had gotten sort of shit on by Dolph Ziggler and the fans and stuff. So he kind of got some of that juice back, because that's kind of what the Fiend does. He kind of gives the Miz. I forgot all about that one. When the Miz, who was Bray Wyatt actually, when when the Fiend and the Miz, when the Fiend and Bray Wyatt were feuding with the Miz. Shortly thereafter, the Miz turned heel. So in this situation, obviously, in order for it to end, somebody has to turn heel. So you have three baby faces, one heel. You have the Fiend is the heel. Three baby faces. Somebody's got to turn, because the Fiend is affecting the world around him. He is a figment of Bray Wyatt's imagination who can affect reality. Okay, that sounds crazy because we're talking about wrestling here, but that's sort of the Fiend's power, is that he affects reality. He's not real in a way, but he affects reality. So he has to affect the reality of these people, and he's already done so. As far as he's drowned Braun Strowman, he's attacked Alexa Bliss already. So it makes sense for him to turn somebody. So he's not going to turn Braun, okay? Braun can't turn because Braun has to fight him. So it's not going to be Braun. It could be Alexa. Again, we could always do this. Sister Abigail is a spirit, and Alexa Bliss could be possessed by the spirit of Sister Abigail. You could also turn Nikki Cross, because she too could be possessed by the spirit of Sister Abigail. Nikki Cross has a history of being sort of a psychotic and crazy character. She was also quite weird, and she has her own bond with Alexa Bliss. But then, of course, you have the WWE. As far as Alexa Bliss is their best girl. They love Alexa Bliss, and they're going to want her in the center of this whole thing. So knowing that, they're probably going to want Alexa Bliss to be the heel, and for Nikki Cross to sort of be the babyface, and for Alexa to turn on Nikki. Because Nikki has pushed Alexa Bliss down twice already. So it's kind of going to seem like Nikki deserved it, But I don't know how I feel about a Braun Strowman, Nikki Cross pairing as far as baby faces that are fighting these two. And it would make sense for it to be Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman to fight the Fiend and Nikki Cross. That might seem a lot better, And I think visually, that's also a lot better. Because you have the history with Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman as match challenge partners, and now you have them going against their friends. And Alexa Bliss has a sort of same story that Braun has with Bray, where Bliss sort of made Nikki relevant, because Nikki was just a jobber until she became friends with Alexa Bliss, who gave her confidence and gave her an opportunity to show her personality and to be the loving babyface that she ended up being. And Nikki Cross is fantastic at the babyface, by the way. And, you could say the same thing with Bray and Braun, that Bray gave Braun a platform, gave him the guidance, gave him his first big run, first big break. And I think that the idea, maybe it's a little bit weird, though, because the way I explained it to myself, or the way I'm explaining it right now, I'm actually explaining it more for it to be Bray and Alexa against Braun and Nikki. But I'm not sure if I like that idea. But I'm almost certain WWE is going to probably make Alexa Bliss the centerpiece of this whole ordeal, because she's best girl, and the Fiend is not a weekly thing, and Braun is also not a weekly guy. So somebody has to be there weekly to further the storyline. Now, one of my problems with this is also, if you make Alexa Bliss sort of the heel of the story, then you have a similar character with Alexa Bliss and Scarlett from NXT, where you're going to have small blondes sort of doing this similar gimmicks, where they're the voice of the big man, and I don't know if I like that, because they would be so similar. You have, with the darkness of not Nikki Cross, but Karrion Cross, and the darkness of the Fiend, and then you have Scarlett, who is sort of his emissary. Do you really want Alexa Bliss to be the emissary of the Fiend in the same way, with pretty much the same look? They're about the same size, You don't want to just mimic what they're doing on NXT. So I think you make it original by doing it Nikki Cross. But again, you keep running into the WWE marketing wall, and WWE marketing probably already has everything set up for it to be Alexa Bliss. And so I'm just going to accept that it's Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss is going to turn on Nikki Cross. They're going to play the story out that she deserved it. Just like Braun Strowman, who turned on Bray Wyatt, he deserved it. And that's going to be the story going forward. But it ought to be really fun. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about the angle, about my projections, about different things I've talked about. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you later.